Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Rosenbaum, and I'll be presenting the risk analysis for our first and second alternatives. In our first alternative, we would be analyzing for running parallel paths with only one scaffolding. During this analysis, we were assuming that all the teams associated with each task would be independent, and there would be no scheduling conflicts. In this path, activities I through Q would be run in parallel with activities A through H, which A through H required scaffolding. Although this project cost for this particular path was $25.9 million, the project would end on the 17th of August, 2013, which so happens to be 1 month past our 17th July deadline. Next slide, please. In our risk analysis, you can see that the risk analysis looks exactly like our base WBS risk analysis. This is because of not being able to meet the deadline prescribed. So we kept the risk analysis the same. All right, let's try this over again. Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Rosenbaum, and I'll be presenting the risk analysis for our first alternative and our second alternative. In our first alternative, we were analyzing for running parallel paths with only one scaffolding. In this analysis, activities A through H would be run in parallel with I through Q, where A through H require only one scaffolding. And as the project progressed, we would move the scaffolding to perform activities A through H on the second work front. Unfortunately, when we analyzed for this, we found that the end date for the project would be 17th August 2013. This is 1 month after our 17th July deadline, meaning that we would incur the penalties of not producing the product on time. We also assumed in this path that each team was independent of each other and there would be no scheduling conflicts. Next slide, please. Now, as you can see in our risk analysis, it's the exact same as our base WBS. The driving factors for that is not being able to complete the project on time and the decreased profits due to not completing the time. This would mean a loss of profits of $2.8 million, meaning that the total profits for the case would be $1.3 million based on the project cost in this path of $25.9 million. Next slide. This is a visual representation of our risk analysis. As mentioned before, R1 and R3 being project not completed on time and decreased profits due to not completing on time, respectively, are the driving factors, and you can see that they're in the red. Next slide, please. In our second alternative, we looked at running two paths in parallel while having two scaffoldings. Although this would incur an extra cost, upfront cost, based on the scaffolding with an 80% salvage fee, we found that in our analysis, the final profits would be $27.5 million. Also during this analysis, we are still assuming that the teams associated with each activity are independent and there would be no scheduling conflict. After the analysis, we determined that the final end date of the project would be 27th of April, leaving us 84 days to account for any risks we encounter using this approach. This would cover any lag time that's necessary for safety mishaps or equipment failure or any other things that might delay the project. Next slide, please. In our risk analysis, you can see that with this two scaffolding and parallel path approach, our projects not completed on time, our decreased profits due to not completing on time, and resource shortfalls probability have drastically gone down Even though the impact is still high, their risk assessment has been lowered because we have placed in the mitigating factors as discussed in our base WBS. You can also see that we still have incidental risk in there, and those have not changed. We still have the potential to have equipment failure, and we still have the potential to have safety mishaps with we assume a 25% probability. And we also assume that these have the ability to delay the project, which is the reason why we built in 84 days of lag. To mitigate these, we recommend perform periodic maintenance and inspections on the equipment, replacing the equipment prior to failure, train personnel on safety and equipment use, and provide safety inspections of equipment. Also, for resource shortfalls, based on the added scaffolding and the added teams, the probability of having a shortfall has gone down. But in case we do, we'd recommend hiring more employees and purchasing more material. Next slide, please. As our visual representation demonstrates, all the tasks that we'd be concerned about are lower, with a final impact, the highest impact being 2.5. This would be project delays due to equipment safety issues. And then as you can see, R4, decreased profits due to increasing resources, is in the red. We determined that this is an acceptable risk based on needing to complete the project in time, and also the fact that we'd still have increased profits over the other alternatives. Now on to the team there with you. Thank you.